What's going on, you guys? This is All1, and I'm going to be giving you guys another Wayfinder build video. So with this build video I'm going to be giving you is going to probably be the last Kyros build video that I'll be posting for a minute, because I am working on other characters. I do have another character that I am going to be posting as well a little after this. It's not going to be able to like one phase or two phase Legion or anything, but it will be able to clear expeditions pretty quick. Now, with this build, it is a weapon power Kyros build. I know a lot of you are probably wondering, why would you just not run AP? Well, because I wanted to showcase that you can run either weapon power or AP on Kyros and still do really good on bosses. I was able to kill Beastmaster pretty fast with this as well. Obviously, if I were to run like something like the Tempest, I would kill Beastmaster within maybe a few seconds, just because of how broken the Tempest is. Not saying that Kyros isn't broken, but the Tempest also just further pushes it. So if you did want to run a Tempest instead of the Arcstorm, well, you can. So what I wanted to also mention with this build is it's not only just good for bosses, it's actually better in the expeditions than the AP setup. AP, you can kill things a lot faster, but with the weapon power build for Kyros, you basically can just keep running and gunning and killing everything extremely fast. Now, if gunplay isn't your thing, you can still run a melee build with this, but it is a lot more risky to run a melee weapon power build than it is to just run an AP build with melee weapons. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First things first is I am running the regular Kyros because the heroic Kyros is where I have my AP set up at. So I'll just go ahead and hover over my heroic Kyros. As you can see, he has a lot more ability power. It's going to be a lot more than the 5,000 that it shows there. My heroic Kyros is set up for AP, and then my regular Kyros is set up for weapon power. So you can run either one if you want. You don't need to run the regular Kyros or heroic Kyros. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. I just wanted to let you know that my regular Kyros is my weapon power setup. Now, for my weapon, I am using Arcstorm. As you can see, it is level 30, and the reason why I'm using it is because it's a really strong ranged weapon with a high burst weapon power ability. I'm not entirely sure how Tempest will do on the Legion boss. Not sure if you will be able to one-shot it, or one-phase it, or two-phase it, because of the fact that it does multiple shots that are high damage versus doing a single high damage shot. The Tempest will be good for enemies that don't have damage gate like Legion or the First or the Deceiver, but for Arcstorm it's just going to be a lot better to use against someone like the First or Legion or Deceiver, just because you can skip phases. Now for my accessories, I'm using the Bone Doll, Bright Burn Scarf, and the Last Breath. So the Last Breath is a drop, I believe, from either I believe it drops from what's his name, the Dread Legion as well, with a pretty low chance, but you can also get it from other places as well. I don't remember exactly where. I just remember getting a lot of these Last Breaths from Dread Legion when I was farming him on AP Kyros. Bright Burn Scarf, you can get this on pretty much any expedition as long as you have the Fire Mutator active. Where I ended up farming was Bone Orchard, just because Bone Orchard has a higher accessory drop rate because of the prisoners that you have to save. And not only that, but if you farm it on Sphere 2, then the drops on the accessories will typically drop between 29 and 30, or 28 and 30. And then Bone Doll, you can get Bone Doll from the from Bone Orchard as well, from saving the prisoners, and I believe you can also get it from Hollowed Heart. Now for my echoes, I do also actually switch between my Bone Dolls. So for Legion, I use this Bone Doll once the accessories load up, because I have millions of these things. I have two different Bone Dolls. I have this one that has more weapon power, but it gives more resilience, and then I have another one that gives more break power that I actually use in my expedition runs and other boss farms. Like I want more break power against the boss like Deceiver, or just so that way I can break his bar a lot faster. So it really depends. You basically just need to swap between the two. Now for the echoes, I have pretty much all really good slots. I have bloodletters, a lot of bloodletters, and then I have Old Earthos, which you get Old Earthos from the Shallow Hearts, I believe is what it's called. It's the first ice map in Reaver Woods. It's the low level one, but you want to make sure you farm it. I think you have to do it on Sphere 3 or Sphere 4, and you want to do the arena. And the arena in that dungeon will give you Old Orthos as the final boss. And then you have the Reaver Warbear, which you can also get from Hollowed Hearts. And then I have Shrike Skirmisher Echo. I was told that it was nerfed with the amount of enemies that are in the drill. I think it's called the pit. So if you do the pit, you can generally find a lot of these Shrike Skirmishers there if you wanted to get this. And then I have a Shrike Skirmisher here. Again, I only put the Shrike Skirmishers in the slots that don't have a attack slot because they are very cheap to use. And then I have another Bloodletter Echo, which is very expensive here. But I was able to make room because I upgraded all this stuff a little after. And then I have a Hollow Horror Echo, which gives you the most amount of weapon power. And then I have Bloodletter Echo. If you get a purple, then it's equal to the blue Hollow Horror Echo in terms of weapon power. And then so also Bloodletter Echoes come from the Hollow Hearts. I believe it's Hollow Hearts and the second ice map, Bone Orchard as well. And then Hollow Horror Echo on my Bone Doll. I have double of them because I have 2 balance slots. So that's basically the most ideal thing to have is double balance slots, and then throw in the Hollow Horror Echoes. You do that. If you do that, then you're gonna need to make sure if you have the Hollow Horror Echoes maxed out, you can only put a blue and a gray, a maxed blue and a maxed gray, so that way it can fit, or double greens if you have those. Otherwise, you would just have to wait to upgrade them when they're slotted. And the same thing with my Brightburn Scarf. I have double Hollow Horror Echoes, and then my Last Breath I have double Bloodletter Echoes. And then again, when I do farm expeditions or bosses that have lower rate resilience, or they have a resilience bar for me to break, then I just swap out this Bone Doll for my other one because it has double Bloodletter Echoes as well. So I basically get to around 4,000 break power and 11.1 or 11.2k weapon power. But with this, I'm at 11.9k weapon power, almost 12k, and then 3.2k break power. And now the way my ability setup goes is I have 3 in Siphon Radiant because this is the very, very, very important. And then I have 3 in Savage Rake just so I can heal for a little bit. It doesn't really matter if you go for this or not. You don't have to, but I just like it when, especially since there's really no other way of healing other than your potions. And if you're solo, then this is just going to be pretty good to have. You can also go with Arcane Focus maxed out because you can do a pretty decent amount of damage against enemies, and it also increases the radius. And then once the damage threshold ends, then it detonates and hits nearby targets as well, which is going to be really nice, especially if you have multiple of them marked. Then multiple of them will detonate as well. And then I have 1 point into Hand of Reckoning, which is just really good to have, especially if you're a weapon power build, because you're going to be you're not really using your ultimate as a damage. You're using it either as iframe, because it's the only iframe skill you have, or you're using it to slow down enemies such as the treasure goblins, or if there's a bunch of enemies, like smaller enemies, and they're chasing you, you could just drop the Hand of Reckoning and then reduce their movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds, and then kind of run away for a little bit and then shoot them from far, so which makes it really, really nice. Now for the Arc Storm's ability weapon, it does Arc Beam, fires a piercing beam in a line dealing high damage and ignoring defenses, consumes 1 locked and loaded charge. This is very, very, very powerful, and it ignores defenses, meaning it ignores the resilience bar, which is really nice. I typically use this after I've broken the enemy though, so I don't have to worry about that. And then also the thing is, once you break the enemy, that's typically when you get your arc beam. You get your arc beam whenever you hit the little crit spot on the enemy. It's not really a crit spot, but it's like a hot spot or whatever you want to call it. Now for my affinities, it doesn't really matter what you go for. My base Kyros already had discipline maxed out because I was thinking you can get 15 points and then I was going to get focus maxed out and then discipline maxed out just so I can have multiple arcane fragments, and then every arcane fragment you have, you basically get a 3% damage reduction, which would give you 15% damage reduction. But since we can only have up to 3 at the moment, I'm only getting about 9% damage reduction, which is still fine because none of these actually matter for you. The only thing that really matters the most is the vicious rake and the infused orbs. I mean, I guess this also doesn't really matter too much, but the vicious rake is the only thing that matters the most, because it gives you a 5% increase in damage whenever you use a Savage Rake that has an Arcane Fragment. So if you have 3 Arcane Fragments, so I guess in a sense Infused Orbs would make sense. But once you use those 3 Savage Rakes, you're at 15% increased damage for 5 seconds, which is pretty big because this is also a multiplier. It's not an additive damage increase, it's a multiplier. So you're already getting 100% multiplied damage from Siphon Rake on top of that additional 15% multiplier. And then obviously I have the Arc Sword maxed out. And now for my Mastery, I'm not completely maxed out on Mastery, but I have Arcane Reload instead of Arcane Chamber. I tried Arcane Chamber and it seemed alright, but the damage just didn't seem to be as good. And then whenever I play solo or even in a group, it's really nice to be able to spawn your own innervation orbs rather than having it drop by chance, because then this gives you a chance to get your arcane fragments as well. And not only that, you get a increase in ability power, I believe by 5% per, it says right here somewhere. Innervation orbs. Defeating enemies has a chance to spawn an innervation orb, which can be consumed by arcanists or their allies to increase ability power. So if you're playing in a group and you have someone that typically uses ability power, playing with another Kyros, or you're playing just with a Nis or whoever really, because ability power increase is just good overall, then this is going to help them a lot. And I believe it can only stack up to like 3 times. But yeah, you get a pretty good amount of innervation orbs. That's why I just go with Arcane Reload. Now, you can honestly go with whatever. I would ignore Arcane Eye though, because this is literally just the Arcane Reload. Arcane Reload is just more consistent though. And then, so you can either go Magic Chamber if you feel like you really need that extra bit of damage, which damage is always good to have, or you can go with Arcane Reload. And that is pretty much everything that I need to cover. As you can see, I am at almost 2400 power rating, and my resilience is pretty high. Oh yeah, I also have no crit power because this build does not rely on doing crits. You are pretty much ignoring crits. If you can deal crits, cool. It's not going to be that big of a damage increase. Most of your damage is, because at average your non-crits will be doing around 5k to 10k, or 5k to like 7k, and then if you crit it's probably around 8k 9k. Once you pop Siphon, you can hit enemies ranging between like 15 to 20k, and then with the arc beam you can hit them for about 30 to 40 50k. And then that's with no crit. With a crit, it'll probably be like 60k, 70k, maybe not even the 70k, but about 60k. And then my physical defense and magic defense doesn't really matter. Oh yeah. Also for my consumables, so I don't know if it was bugged or not, but when I was testing with Legion, every time I used one of my elixirs or my potions, my damage dropped from doing 45 to 50k down to 25 to 30k. So I don't necessarily know if it would actually be ideal to use any of these. I'm actually going to get rid of this, and then probably put like a stamina potion on, just because it's, in my opinion, it's just going to be better. The Greater Arcanic Elixir is going to help, but I don't think the Unfiltered Dragonkin is going to help in this case. I think it splits your damage. I'm not entirely sure. It's not supposed to, but yeah, my damage severely dropped every time I used it. So I'm definitely not going to be using that. I wouldn't recommend it. But the stamina one is going to be nice to use though. You can either use the basic Turtle Sword, or you can use um, the basic Turtle Sword Blood Brew 3. Just because you get a pretty good amount of stamina. But yeah, that's pretty much it with this video. Hopefully this helped you guys out. If it does, go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe. I am also going to be posting another build video for other characters and some other pretty neat stuff, I guess. If you also want, you can follow me on Twitch. I do stream there. I try to stream there daily. Twitch.tv/AllDayAnyDay1. And yeah, hopefully this helps you guys out. Have a good day. Good night. And peace.